Hello, I'm Nan Simonson. I wrote a book, Aging Powerfully. And my point was when I wrote it more than 3 years ago, when I was turning 70, that if we do enough of the right things with our lifestyle, with our behaviors, with controlling our environment, we can add years longer to our life than what those who just sail into life being influenced by mass media, social norms, what's easy. And some people, and I'm going to just say what's just popped into my mind. Some people say, well, if I would have to live like that, eat like that, do that, I'd rather be dead. Well, that's never what they say when some situation comes up and they're suffering with it and they're thinking, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But it's just easy to say. So today we're going to be talking about rituals that can enhance your circadian rhythm, healthy rituals. And your first thought may be, well, do you mean habits? And I am going to define for you the difference, at least as I'm relating it here, between a habit and a ritual. Let's just do the textbook definition. A habit is a routine behavior that's repeated regularly and tends to occur subconsciously. Example, brushing your teeth. Sometimes we don't even question that act. We simply go into the bathroom at night and without thinking about it, thinking about maybe anything else, we brush our teeth. And if we don't, we probably should be. What's a ritual? A ritual is a set of actions performed according to prescribed order and forethought. We're making a point of doing these things, and often with symbolic meaning. And in this case, that symbolic meaning can be the decision that what I'm doing has value that is going to play out and that I am quite aware of. In the case of rituals, we're looking at intentionally behaving in a way that can strengthen something called the circadian rhythm. That's the talk of today. And let me tell you what the circadian rhythm is. The circadian rhythm is an internal biological clock, and all living things have a circadian rhythm. An internal biological clock that regulates various physiological processes in a roughly 24-hour cycle. Here's a detailed look of what that involves and the key features of a circadian rhythm. Biological clock located in the suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, in the hypothalamus of the brain. It synchronizes with the environmental cues, primarily that of light and darkness. Light exposure, especially blue light from the sun, is its prime cue, its primary cue, and one of the reasons, well, I was going to go into what I'm going to talk about later, so I'm going to keep that there, just getting out in the sun. And darkness signals the body to produce melatonin, a hormone that helps promote sleep. Sleep-wake cycles, the most notable is the most notable circadian rhythm, and yet the circadian rhythm is found, a circadian rhythm is found in almost every cell of our body. Our organs are driven by prompts from our circadian rhythm because so are our cells, regardless of when we feel awake, or it regulates when we feel awake and when we feel sleepy over a 24-hour period of time, especially if we do enough of the right things. It also regulates hormone release, hormones like cortisol, which is the stress hormone, melatonin, which is the sleep hormone, Cortisol levels peak in the morning to help you wake up, decrease throughout the day. Melatonin levels rise in the evening, relating that or signaling that it's time to sleep. Body temperature even fluctuates throughout the day, typically the lowest in the early morning, highest in the later afternoon and the evening, and eating and digestion. Circadian rhythms influence hunger and digestion. There are even hormones, ghrelin and leptin, that regulate fullness and that regulate hunger, all part of the circadian clock. Meal timing can affect your circadian rhythm and overall health. So let's look at what I'm talking about here. Creating healthy rituals that align with your circadian clock can help improve your overall well-being. Here are some of the steps that you can take. Now I'm going to take you through a day that can be controlled. And what I said to somebody this morning, and we weren't doing this, but we were talking about a circadian rhythm because several of the patients were talking about their sleep, trying to regulate their sleep better. What we were talking about was, or what I brought up was simply using a calendar, because people feel that sometimes their activities are regulated by outside circumstances. I want to say, meaning, well, I can't do that then because of this and this and this. And I want to say, if you take a calendar of the day, an open calendar, and you put in there, prioritize in there the things that are most important to highlight, we can get just about anything we want to in a day. I know I've completely turned my productive activities around by deciding what was a priority and then finding other little things that can fit around that rather than the little things filling things up. Oh, I'll give you a good analogy of what I'm saying. The example of having let's say a bowl of rocks, and that bowl of rocks is full. Can't get any more rocks in there. That's all I have time for. And yet you can take another partial bowl of sand, pour it over those rocks, and look how much more you can get in. The rocks were the activities that are most important. The sand are the little things that we want, but we have to fit in where we can around the priorities. Some people fill up their bowl with sand. The little stuff and the priorities never have room on top of that to give you the light, that full bowl that you want. So let's talk about morning rituals. And these are circadian rhythm friendly. In other words, rituals that can help you build a healthy circadian rhythm. Number one, wake up the same time every day. Consistency regulates. And this is a compilation of sleep scientists' recommendations. Wake up at the same time every day. Consistency helps regulate your internal clock. Get morning sunlight first thing. Natural light exposure helps get your circadian clock set. Some people may be thinking, yes, but I live in a northern climate, or I live in a very cloudy, rainy area, or any given day, it could be that way. Doesn't matter. The photons in the air from the light, unless it's just, well, unless you're in a climate where the sun doesn't come up, will still affect your eyes. And your eyes are part of your brain that perceive the light, that go to the pineal gland, which is then what regulates the production of melatonin 12, 13 hours later. So number one, wake up at the same time. Number two, get morning light. Number three, hydrate. Drink water to kickstart your metabolism. A recommendation is just to bring a big glass of water to bed with you. Drink a little bit to do whatever you need to do. If you want the water, have to take a pill in the middle of the night or whatever, and then wake up and just down that water. My husband's never heard of all of these things, or hadn't, when I met him and we got married, what is it, 12 years ago. And yet that's something that he always did. He always had a glass of water by his bedside. He would wake up and down it. And this is a 16-ounce glass, and that's the size he's always used. Hydrate to kickstart your metabolism. Next, exercise. A morning workout boosts energy and mood, and it's just one of the bits of movement that you're going to want to incorporate every single day. Morning routine. Wake up at the same time, hydrate, exercise. And then number 5, have a healthy breakfast. Include a healthy protein. We are in my whole food, plant-based lifestyle as medicine world, blue zones as influencers world, primarily plant-based. And for us, plant-based proteins are especially legumes and, well, I was going to say grains like quinoa. Quinoa is not a grain, but that's a complete protein, a grain that's high in protein. Glass of soy milk has just as much protein as a glass of cow's milk. Include protein, include healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates, whole food, not processed. And then daytime rituals would include, those were morning rituals, daytime rituals include regular meals. Eat at consistent times to regulate your metabolism. Eat, if you can, a meal that is comfortable and large enough to keep you going to the next meal 4 or 5 hours later. At the end of the day, finish a meal, and that is the end of your eating window, and you'll hear a little bit more about that later. So regulate meals, eat consistent times to regulate your metabolism. Stay active. Take breaks to move around if you have a sedentary job, or just take breaks to use your muscles, do some quick squats, walk around the kitchen, walk around the block after a meal for 10 minutes. Do that 3 times a day, and you've gotten in 30 minutes of exercise. This is crucial, not just for your body, but for your circadian rhythm, because your circadian rhythm works off of the signals that moving muscles give your brain. Natural light exposure. Spend time outdoors. Spend time in nature as often as you can. Spend time outdoors in any way you can. It actually matters to not only your microbiome, but also to the way you process information, partially because when we're outdoors, we see the world as that's an example of infinite possibilities with outcomes that are geared for growth, reproduction, and longevity. It's sort of natural cycles. And then evening rituals. Limit caffeine. Avoid caffeine in the late afternoon or the evening. Some of us are so sensitive that even limiting caffeine to a cup in the morning if we drink tea or coffee, and not even being able to have it at lunchtime, because sometimes that is even because caffeine has a half-life, and some people are so sensitive to that they can't even have it at lunchtime. So read that cue. It could be the reason that maybe you fall asleep but can't stay asleep throughout the night. Dinner. Eat a light dinner a few hours before you go to bed and end the ingestion of food. What that means is don't give your body, when it's ready to sleep, more to do in terms of digestion. We are geared as human beings, our circadian rhythm is geared to deal with food during meal times and not when we're sleeping and our body is regenerating and clearing out dead cells and doing everything else other than still digesting food. Wind down, establish a relaxing routine such as reading or taking a bath, lowering lights throughout the house. Some people think that, oh, well, I can sleep better in the winter because it's dark early and the sun comes up and I go to bed with the light and I wake up with the light. Well, in the winter, most of us don't go to bed at 5 and 6 o'clock. We have house lights on. Well, in the summer, when it doesn't get dark until almost 8, and by the way, happy summer. And now it's going backwards. It'll start getting dark a little bit earlier every day. In the summer, we're still usually in our homes when the sun is going down. And instead of having a house full of bright light, start gearing even that down to small table lights, to kind of mood lights, so that our body has a way of, again, gearing down light-wise. Limit screen time, reduce exposure to blue light from all screens, and especially from any screen an hour before bedtime. And then next and last there, have a consistent bedtime. Go to bed at the same time every night. This was brought up again and again, the importance of consistent waking time, consistent sleeping time. And if that is to change because of, events, that we try to keep it at least to within an hour of when we would normally wake up and normally go to bed, rather than helter-skelter because it's a weekend. I'll stay up until 1 in the morning and sleep until 10 1 in the morning, sleep until 10 the next day. These things, when we're younger, our body seems a little bit more resilient, but especially as we get older, we throw off our circadian rhythm to the degree that it can take days to get back into cycle. So general tips: sleep environment, ensure the bedroom, and you've heard this before, is dark and cool and quiet. Mindfulness, practice meditation or deep breathing to reduce stress. And then avoid naps if necessary for a nap. Keep them short and early in the afternoon. And if one finds that napping is something you enjoy, but you find you can't sleep through the night, let the nap go first and test it that way. By incorporating these rituals, you can better align your activities with your body's natural circadian rhythm, enhancing sleep quality, energy levels, overall health, and your mindset. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. I know that this is one of the most often spoken concepts, that of the circadian rhythm, but I wonder, and I wondered, how many people actually, again, grab a calendar, prioritize the basics of caring for your circadian rhythm, put those down, and then work everything else in to give them exactly what their body needs, which is reliable eating, sleeping, movement, stress management, and not written in here, but I'll say it because we need to get those in too. And that is connectiveness, because as stress management goes, there's nothing better for us, not much, than getting together with like-minded people, having a chance to share and commune for stress management as well as elevation of mood. And that's all. Thank you for joining me. If you like what you heard, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and have a great day, because I know I'm going to. All right, bye-bye.